This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutastrophe. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. And on this date, September 22nd, 1987, 34 years ago, the NFL went on strike for the second time in 5 years. Kind of stupid, don't you think? But anyway, the 87 season happened. So Finney Testaverde was the first overall pick, and Tampa was hoping to bring him into things. So after week 2, there were rumors circulating about the fact that the players were going to strike because they feel like they didn't get much concessions and all that. So anyhow, after week 2, there was a strike. Week 3 was canceled outright, and the NFL decided that to be prepared just in case of another strike. So instead of waiting out the strike, the NFL decided to put forth games that would be played in weeks 4, 5, and 6, but they would be given replacement players who were former college athletes or just everyday people. The NFLPA needed to do a lot of things. And, they stuck to their guns. However, roughly 15% of the players actually crossed the picket line to play during the strike. People who did so were Mark Gastineau, who was a tough New York Jet, Randy White, great defensive tackle of the Cowboys, Joe Montana and Roger Craig both crossed the picket line. Doug Flutie even did that, and Steve Largent. The replacement players were basically people who were left out of work due to the U.S. Football League dissolving, the Montreal Alouettes being folded in the CFL, and that did happen. Preseason cuts had long left professional football and a lot of things. One cinematographer by the name of Todd Schloppy actually was the kicker for the Buffalo Bills. The replacement players were treated with scorn by the press and general public. They were basically scabs. The games played by these replacement players had less legitimacy. Attendance plummeted a lot. But they were counted. The NFL said, we're not going to have that issue of the 1982 strike. So anyway, TV revenues were down by 20%. Actually, the networks anticipated a worse drop, but it wasn't that bad. The New York Giants went 0-3 in their replacement games, which cost them the chance to make the playoffs. Monday Night Football had the final replacement game, October 19th, 1987, when the Skins and the Cowboys would face each other. The Redskins were the only team other than Philly to have nobody cross the picket line. Dallas had plenty of players cross the picket line to play in that Monday nighter. And surprisingly, Washington won 13-7. The name of the quarterback, Tony Robinson, who was in jail at one time. In fact, ESPN did a 30 for 30 about it, which was amazing. Year of the Scab. And the 1987 strike was the inspiration for the movie The Replacements. To date, the 1987 NFLPA strike was the last major interruption to an NFL regular season game, or a regular season at all. There have been strikes by NFL, like in preseason and all that, but however, it never crossed anything. So it was a huge event. So, well, there had to be winners and losers. Well, the winners of the AFC divisions were the Colts, the Browns, and the Broncos, with Seattle and Houston having to play a one-game playoff wildcard game to decide who gets into the playoffs. Houston ended up being the 4th seed because they had a better conference record than Seattle. There were a lot of teams that were 8-7, such as the New England Patriots of Doug Flutie. The Redskins, the Bears, and the Niners were the class of the NFC. In fact, here's the weird thing. Well, the 3 division winners all won for at least 11 games. No AFC team won more than 10. Denver even tied Green Bay in a game. And B, New Orleans, who were 12-3, would have been second in the NFC, but because they didn't win the division, the Niners did, they had to be the 4th seed. They would host the Minnesota Vikings in the 1-game wildcard game. But that was disastrous, if memory serves me right, because the Vikings shocked the Saints in the New Orleans' first ever playoff game. And then Minnesota actually shocked the Niners. And the Skins got to the 88 Super Bowl against the Broncos and beat them. Yeah, that was a shocking loss by the Saints, losing by 34 to the Vikings. And then Minnesota goes into San Francisco to beat the Niners before losing on a last-second missed pass play so that Washington would get to the finals. It was business as usual in the AFC, but that was the game when Biner fumbled and almost got Denver, Cleveland to the Super Bowl. So that's just something you got to know. So at least the strike didn't last that long compared to the other one in '82. You got to be happy about that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.